there's a real focus on the security regulations under the cannabis paradigm, but what's missed is things like health and safety regulations, the need to protect people if they're a driver moving cannabis for you, your employees coming and going to and from work. There's a lot of safety aspects that I believe are overlooked. I think with respect to privacy, there's a big gap there as well. There is federal privacy laws called PIPEDA that applies to every cannabis company in Canada. They have to protect personal information to a fairly high standard. It's gathering, it's retention, it's release, etc. And there's really not a lot of focus on that area, I believe, as well. Things like fire safety, fire code, building code. These are things that are maybe at the beginning looked at and then it's gone. Do we have an evacuation plan? Do we have kind of a gather in place or a mustering point? We've looked at these life safety emergency issues that are in more mature industries a very important part of it. I think that's one big part. And the other one I think is just, as any business should, you're going to look at what the regulations tell you to do. If you're in food, if you're in retail, whatever it is, then you're going to look at what are my business risks? What's that landscape that could pose a problem for me? And when you look at that, the regulatory is only one part. There are many other business risks that the regulations don't cover. And I think there's a tendency in a new industry like cannabis to just look at the minimum requirements and not broaden your mind. And some of those risks that are out there lurking could be very harmful to the company. I think that we're at the best place so far that we've been. I give Health Canada a lot of props in terms of how they've come from being overloaded, coming out of the gate with a very heavy security requirements. And over time, it's kind of normalized, and they've realized that the risk gathers in different ways in different places. They can reduce the security in some areas, maintain security in some areas. So we've seen a bit of a right sizing of where the regulations have come from, where they're going to. There's still some work to do, and I think that will evolve over the next few years. But I'm very pleased with how we've seen that move along from the beginning, very heavy, very high, too high, and now we've got a much more realistic level of security under the regulations today, and I think that bodes well. As cannabis moves forward, we'll see more normalization, and it will just become like another industry with how the risk is managed. But right now we're in that journey, probably halfway through, and a few more years to go to get to that equilibrium, if you will.